World of Warcraft is a game that is very easy to get passionate about. Whether you're passionate about how it plays, the raiding scene, the player versus player scene, roleplay, or any of the many aspects of the game, chances are that if you're watching this video, then you're at least a little bit passionate about World of Warcraft. This is a fantastic trait to have, and passion about something is awesome. That said, it's very easy to become stressed out thanks to World of Warcraft or the community that surrounds it. I say this from experience. As someone who suffers from an illness that directly worsens whenever I get stressed, I've had to take a long, hard look at sources of stress and figure out how to lower or remove them from my life. World of Warcraft was one of the early culprits. Naturally, I didn't want to get rid of it. It is my second largest passion and something deeply important to me. Now, there are a lot of reasons to get stressed out about World of Warcraft, so rather than listing them all, I'm just going to do my best to remind you of how awesome this game is. The goal here is to give an example of World of Warcraft not as a game that's stressful and full of nasty players and cultures and hierarchies, where if you do something wrong you're chastised, and if you do something right you're told that you haven't done it as well as hundreds, if not thousands of other players. No, my goal at the end of this video is to make you smile, the only way that I know how, through a story. About 6 years ago, I was living in England, and I was 16 years old. I was your typical nerdy teenager, quietly passionate about things that people around me couldn't or wouldn't try to understand. Bullied every now and then, felt like somewhat of an outcast. I knew I was gay, or by the way, I'm gay, and that didn't help much either. I'd had a long-distance relationship for about a year with a fellow in Norway, and it was an average first love in large quotation marks. It ended as most of them do, with drama and pain. My mother had discovered a tumour and had to have surgery to remove it, and thanks to this, I had flunked my college classes. That is the English version of college, to the point of nearly failing all of my classes. I was going to restart college and focus on media entirely, in an effort to do better for myself. Not the worst situation I could be in, for sure, but certainly not the best. My one escape from all of this was World of Warcraft, where I roleplayed as a character called Rakshu Hammertusk. He was the antithesis of me. He was strong, confident, funny, capable, and proud of who he was. Over my time playing as him, those qualities began to slowly transfer to me. Not to the same degree, of course, but I often found myself in real life wondering what my character, Rakshu, would do in certain situations, and I drew strength from that fact. Then, on a seedy roleplay forum, I met another roleplayer who was similar to myself. He had posted a personal ad on this forum, and I responded to it. After meeting via MSN, do you even remember MSN? That thing was terrible. We ended up talking. A lot. We were both passionate about the same things. About telling stories, about creating interesting characters, about World of Warcraft, about video games, about playing them with people we would call friends, yet we both sucked at making those friends, and the friends we did make weren't really friends at all, save a couple. Despite the fact that he lived in America and was a terrifying 12 years older than I was, we played games together every night. He would get home at 10 o'clock in the evening my time, and we would play games and talk via MSN or Skype whenever we could.
I thought you were watching up front!
What? When we were unable to, it was irritating and even hurtful. We continued this for some time before I went on my first ever trip. Not to him, but to some good friends I'd somehow managed to stumble across. It was a short plane trip and I was only there for a few days, but it was my first time being in a different place by myself. And more importantly, it was the first time since I'd met this American that we were unable to talk every night. It was during this time that I realized that I loved him. Several years passed as we worked on our growing relationship, telling stories together of various World of Warcraft characters and sharing our excitement for new expansions and games, and we met in real life a few times. Eventually, we decided that we wanted to live together. It was a very natural sort of progression of the relationship. I began the long and arduous process of immigrating to America, a process that I am still working on to this day. We had our share of problems, yes. Maintaining and growing a long-distance relationship is the single most difficult thing I have ever had to do, but all throughout, one thing helped us keep together: our love of games. More importantly, our love of World of Warcraft. This all culminated with the Mists of Pandaria expansion. This was the expansion that confirmed that I wanted to spend my life with this man. When it was first released, we were both taking a break from the game. We were interested in the newly released Guild Wars 2, and we were fairly sure that we would not end up playing World of Warcraft again. As is wont to happen with World of Warcraft, we eventually returned. We were lucky, in a way, because we had no one to compete with as we took our time through Mr. Pandaria's leveling. Every night, across the 5,000-mile difference that we were trying to bridge, we would sit down and level up in Mr. Pandaria. It might seem very strange or even lame, but we read every quest to each other over Skype. We would discuss the lore implications of what was going on. We would constantly get lost because he, as a herbalist, would see a herb, shout "Flower!" over Skype and run away, leaving me to deal with the swarms of enemies he would undoubtedly pull as he ran off. This was, and remains, my fondest memory of World of Warcraft. Now, with Legion on the horizon, I look back at my situation back then and compare it to the one I'm in now. I live with this wonderful man, I've married him, and despite all of the barriers keeping us apart, despite the age difference, despite the problems we faced, we are together. We are happy. He has supported me as I try and turn my passion for media, and for games, into a source of stability for us and the people that we care about. None of it would have happened if World of Warcraft did not exist. It brought us together, as it does with so many other people. So many of the people that World of Warcraft brings together never tell anyone about it. Remember that. Remember that most people who love this game are quiet about it. Every time you feel stressed out because of World of Warcraft, every time you feel like things are going terribly with your efforts to raid, or PvP, or deal with the community, or handle Blizzard's decisions regarding this game, try and remember that. While it is only a game, at the end of the day, the passion that we share for it is what brings us together. It's what's important. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, slow-mo.
Whoa.